Okay, hi everybody. My name is Sarah Shuey. I am the founder of Happily and also the founder of EXP, which is a community for experience economy pioneers. This is my first time going LinkedIn Live, so for all of you who are joining us, thank you so much for being here. Today, what we're going to talk about is, I thought it would be really interesting to actually do a live stream broadcast of a very real conversation and a meeting that we would usually have behind closed doors about whether or not we should cancel the upcoming EXP retreat that we have. It's happening in June, from June 24th through 26th. We do it biennially, so it only happens every 2 years. So the decision to cancel or postpone is a really tough one for us. And so today I'm really excited and really interested to hear everyone's comments and thoughts, and hopefully to be really helpful for everyone that is joining us to understand a little bit more about what is the thought process that is going through our minds as event and experience organizers. What are the things that we are decisions that we're weighing out as it relates to the need to postpone things because of the coronavirus. So today I'd like to introduce you to two of our steering committee members who are with me. I have Stacy Conde. Stacy, do you want to say hi?
Hello, Stacy Conde, proud member of EXP, among other things that we all work on together. Been working in events for quite a while now and in the music business. So yeah, there's definitely a lot to talk about today.
Great. And then I'm also going to be joined by our other Stacy, Stacy Horn.
With the best spelling.
Stacy, can you? So can you tell us a little bit about your work?
Me?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. My name's Stacy Horn. I'm in San Francisco from the Shelter in Place, and I am head of programming with the Battery, and have a long career over 20 years with event curation and programming, as well as live music production. Was involved in lots of live music and concerts and festivals for many, many years in San Francisco and New York.
Great, thanks. And Stacey, did you want to say anything else, or you good?
Me?
Yeah.
Do you think I should?
I felt your intro was really short, and you're one.
It was. I guess it's always weird talking about yourself, especially in these times. But yeah, worked in the music business for 20 plus years. Pretty much every major label, and a bunch of cool indies. I have a lot of music production, event production experience, PR and marketing. Currently working with ArcLight here in Los Angeles on their experiential programming and marketing. We just opened a property in Boston, which was really cool to kind of dive into a Boston market to see what that looks like. Have worked on Lollapalooza years ago, and Air and Style, and Bottle Rock, and Napa, and all kinds of fun stuff like that. So is that better?
Yes, totally. And you guys are both joined by your dogs. Hello.
The event dog.
Okay, so thanks for joining me today. We have a lot of really exciting things planned for our upcoming retreat. So I know that you both were at our last retreat, and there were lots of surprises, and certainly there are a lot of surprises for this upcoming one. So I'm just going to do a little bit of a teaser and not give away too much. But what we're doing with this retreat is we're thinking about the overall theme of the conversation that we'll be hosting for our experience economy pioneers is really around, we're in this election year. And so that was kind of the sort of impetus for thinking about, what does our country really need from the experiences that they have, and what kind of conversations can we help host for the leaders of these experiences in order to be able to move us forward to a point of a little bit or hopefully a lot of it, more unity. And I don't know about you all, but like we've certainly at Happily been involved with a lot of events that deal with the diversity and inclusion. And I've actually personally found that a lot of these diversity include D&I events, they're really wonderful, but sometimes they happen kind of like in silos. So like only within like their like Democratic space or Republican space. And this is something that I think is too bad. Is really like a conversation around all of these topics, relates to everyone. And one of the things that I've also been thinking about is that a lot of times people who are in the Midwest or who are not inside of a place where there's more culture or more access to some of these bigger productions, like it feels a lot that they're economically being left behind, and don't have enough access to resources, as well as enough access to some of these like bigger shows. And so what we really wanted to do at EXP was talk about like how can we be hyper inclusive? How can we design experiences that involve like both parties, that involve differing points of view, whether they're political or not. So we were going to bring everybody into ask everyone to fly in and out of Denver, and then from Denver, we're going to have a lot of different cool like vehicles that people would caravan, or experienced pioneers would caravan up to Mount Rushmore, and we have reserved a really beautiful site there where we'll all be glamping together. I'm not like a super big camper, but I am definitely an awesome glamper. And we'd be hearing a lot of conversations. Like even I was thinking about some of the cars, we would have like people that were like talking about sex, people that were talking about religion, people that were talking about like politics. And so things that you don't usually feel comfortable talking about, that like in those sort of small groups, that's what we would be talking about, and talking about like what are experiences that we can design that are, experiential formats that we can design that are inclusive of a really healthy conversation in these areas. So where we're at right now is with the coronavirus, I don't know about y'all, but a lot of what I'm hearing is that there's just shutdown here in Los Angeles. There's shutdown as of today or yesterday. It's like restaurants, bars, movie theaters, Stacy, schools now. So we're looking at the coronavirus being something I'm hearing as late until 6 weeks, as long as the duration of the lockdown is. But it could be, much longer. So June, the end of June is something that I know a couple of other experience economy pioneers, like other experience organizers, they are still moving forward with their event for June. Our event is one where it is less than, we can reduce it down to make it like 49 people. But, being in a car with folks in small contained environments isn't ideal. We're not sure how airports and travel is going to be. So I think, thank you for being here to sort of like help weigh in with what you think are, what you think we should do, postpone. Should we just completely cancel it and reformat, rethink about this event in a whole different way? Should we take it cyber? Should we make it a virtual thing? So yeah, with that, as far as we are in a financial point of view, fortunately, we're in a fairly decent one. If we do decide to cancel, we will still we will still have money in the bank to sort of do another event later on in the future, based on a number of different things. So we are really, really fortunate in that sense. But yeah, there's just a lot to think about. So I don't know, Stacey Horn, I'd love to hear how you think about this. Should we, what do you think that we could do?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's changing on a daily basis. I was speaking to a friend last week about an event, concert festival he's planning for July, and we were kind of saying, okay, you might be able to do it, and maybe July, maybe August, but if we are just looking at the reality of an event in June, I'm in the camp of postpone. Certainly for just the practicality of the event, you would be able to do so easily as the weeks and days go on. That might get harder to do if you're needing to plan things, and just the reality of planning anything right now when the world seems so precarious. That seems difficult. And I also just think, audience wise, people are not in a headspace, participant wise to be making plans like for all the reasons you bring up. So, even if, we do see in a month or two that, I personally think it's all going to be a little longer than we're hoping for, of how long things are going to be shut down or slowed down. So, and for all of these reasons, my vote is to postpone it. And especially for, we spoke before, people will be very, very excited to be with one another once we're able to do that again. I mean, I think none of us could ever have imagined in our lifetimes, that's something as basic as, being with other people, with friends and family, would be, taken away from us. So we will be, extra excited, and the event, EXP event, will certainly speak to that, and be such a celebration of gathering and people who focus and devote their careers and lives to creating special experiences for people. So.
Mm. Okay, so postpone. And until when do you think we'll need to postpone?
I mean, that's the big question. You see things like Coachella postponing for September or October. That seems reasonable, right? But
yeah,
I don't know. I just know, like most of us, I know whatever the scientists are saying, and I don't know what it really looks like. But I've heard of another big conference that I was supposed to attend. They've postponed actually until February. That seems like then you hopefully know you're in the clear at that point. But I don't know if the fall looks clear or not.
Yeah, I worry a little bit about the fall just because we have people who are, behind these big shows. And so I know even in June, we were like boxing out, like anyone that was producing an activation at Cannes, for instance, was really hard for them to make it. So for us, we are always kind of looking for like, when is the downtime essentially for the event folks, so that we can't, that we can do it. And I do worry a little bit about the fall just being everyone, if everything does bounce back by then, like everyone's gonna be like, we have no time for you to like retreat and chill. So that's something I'm, a little bit worried about. But yeah, I feel you. It's hard to know.
Yeah.
Stacy Conde, I'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, I've been my thoughts about this have changed 15 times in the last 5 days. Part of me wants to, well, obviously they'll have to heed what's going on and make the right and smart choice for safety of ourselves and others, people we know and people we don't know. And so at first I was like, we should proceed, we should proceed in June, but literally in the last 3 days, things have really gotten a lot crazier and a lot even more dire than I think any of us expected. And I think what we do, the things that I took away from EXP, our inaugural EXP, the people I met and the things I took away are so important. And the things that I learned, the things that we shared. And I think there's a huge a need for that amongst all of us, peers and people that are in EXP and people we haven't met yet. Thinking pull it off to the level that we all want to is unknown, and this is going to derail even if things get miraculously better in that shortened amount of time that people are talking about, as opposed to the longer time that I think we all think it's going to be. There'll be so much that will have been derailed in the meantime. There'll be people that like some of us that will be out of their usual work income flow, that will have to live on our savings. And it will really just kind of set everything off on a different track that will need to be repaired or at least pivoted before we can all get together like that. So I think I'm in favor of postponing a bit further, but I would love to think of a way that we collectively, with our expertise and also our group sort of peer mentality, and again, thinking of all those things that we shared in Calistoga, we can continue to give back to each other, support each other, continue to keep an open communication about what's going on, how it affects us and our livelihood, and what the future does look like, because this will change everything in the immediate. How it might level out to become completely back to normal, we don't know how long that's going to take. But I think we can't move forward with events and these sorts of things without keeping in mind now what this is doing to everyone.
Yeah. I do worry. I mean, like, I've heard some really harrowing stories of people shutting down their business because they lost a client that represented $7 million a year. They're firing folks who've been with them for 20 years. I've been hearing stuff like that a lot, and it does make me really nervous. It makes me nervous to can't cancel or postpone in a way. Sometimes I think about what us saying, us sort of saying feeding into this panic, it's really tough. But also seeing the numbers that me, as if I was infected with the coronavirus, that just one individual can spread it along to 15 million, through the chain, just exponentially. That's something obviously at a 1% mortality rate. It weighs really heavy to know that going out or having an event like this, I individually could kill 150 people or something like that. So I think that as it relates to public health and safety, obviously the choice is clear. I think it's just more about, it's this weird thing where we're betting on when is it gonna blow over. And it is also so difficult to know when we don't have a testing system in place right now in America. So it's one thing if we could test folks and say okay, you've got it, you get to quarantine, you don't have it, continue, proceed. So I think that, anything that we can do, a really, important action item for anyone that's in the experiential space is to be, rallying and really making it very known that we need testing now, so that we can get a lot closer to understanding where are we, as a country, how long is this going to last? What else do we need to do? And obviously, anything that we can do to provide funding to the scientists that need to have the support to be able to find a cure. I read an article that said that this guy, he had a cure that he wanted to test, and he couldn't raise $3 million to get that out into human testing. And so to think that that there isn't funding at that relatively small level for something that could cause hundreds of billions of dollars worth of damage is just it's just horrible. And I think that anything that we can do to raise awareness about the need to support scientific funding and research, or to support scientific research, is also really important. That said, with postponing, if we postpone until our venue has been really nice, and if we postpone until a date in 2020, then we can just apply that deposit forward. If we have to postpone it into 2021, then we'll completely, lose our deposit. How do you think people feel if we postpone it to, let's say, probably November. I feel, I don't know, let's talk about the date. Like, so it sounds like we're going to postpone. My gut is to say like we postpone until either like end of August, so that we still catch people in summer, right? But maybe that's going to be like the 2 weeks or whatever ramp up before their shows and everyone's nuts. Or kind of like maybe we postpone it into November, when everyone's gotten their fall events out and there's maybe a little bit of a lull. I don't know.
Yeah, I think beginning of November is that's your sort of last chance of not too busy of a time. It's nothing necessarily, I don't know. You're not like totally into holiday season yet, like the first 2 weeks of November.
I think the only thing I thought about that, like how far to push this back when we knew this was all happening, would be, weather. That's the only other thing to consider at that time with where the location is that weather could be. I'm not an expert in what happens there at that time because I don't live there, but it could be a factor.
Yeah, definitely. And hi, Jeannie. We see Jeannie in the comments, who's also one of our steering committee members. So yeah, she also just brought up the weather issue. Well, that's the thing too. Like, here's another question. So like, if we postpone, we can keep the same programming, or maybe we completely ditch it and rethink about something that do we reformat this altogether so that it is like an easier destination for folks to get to? There's certainly a lot of things that we could talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I guess I would say to that, I mean, I feel probably, like you do, like I thought it's such a great idea going to the Midwest and having, such a unique experience that most, probably 95% of people that go will not have done anything like that. So I do love that. But at the same time, obviously it is a barrier and a hurdle to getting there for a lot of people. You were able, in Calistoga last time, even though it might not have been the most unique destination for some people, you still created such a unique experience, and really so much of the time was just about being together and gathering. So if you move it back to California, or I think you have just better shot of more participation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Stacy Conde?
I was going to say, I think to agree with everything Stacey H just said. And then as we're talking about like when we do get together, because we know we will, this at some point, what we're dealing with is going to get better. It will. We don't know how long it's going to take, but it will. We are all going to want to get back together as our EXP crew, and all the other events will continue on, and that will all happen. But to me too is, what is the conversation then? And how much I love that, the inclusion related to another event that I was working on with Eb, and how just, inclusivity, not only in events, but in this time of this crazy, political year that we're having. But I think that as the, EXP and experiential pioneers that we are, we're going to have to think about some new conversations that are going to need to happen. I don't even know what those are right now. I mean, we know some of them, we've just talked about them, but we're only on the front end of what's happening and how it's affecting in real life community type events. And I think that as leaders and people that all have our tentacles in so many different places and have done such important and great work, we're gonna really want to talk about. I know I am. I'm gonna want to really talk about a lot of things that I don't even know what they are yet. But I think we need to monitor that as we go and use that into what we plan to do.
I think you have a really good point there, Stacey, and it made me think of something. And I don't know how you're going to feel about this, Sarah, but because I think when this all comes back, like it is going to be important to gather like as soon as we can or have these discussions. So I wonder if, there's maybe even something that's like a very informal, not planned thing, but where, you know, a month out you say, okay, like, you know, life's back on in June, and like, okay, July, we're all going to meet up in Palm Springs, and just get yourselves there. And it's like not, you know, some highly curated thing, but that way we all just get to be together, and we can have these discussions as we're all going back out into the world to bring gatherings to people.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's an interesting idea, like have like a go bag for events for a retreat, right?
Well, just I know, like, you know, we were all just discussing like how work is drying up for everybody, and you know, so it's like to have the support of everyone once this is all coming back, and you know, exchanging ideas, and you know, I think that would be really important. We could certainly try to do it virtually, but to be together for a weekend in a very informal way might be the way to go.
Yep. Yeah, I think that's totally viable. Like a very like DIY, you know, old school. Everyone show up at this day, this time, and do it unconference style is definitely a way to do it. Yeah, I'm like super.
I mean, and not that doesn't have to replace the bigger thing, but it might just be something to think about to do. You know, because you just don't know. Like my friend posted, she said, we've been through this, because she was in China. So she's like, well, I've already been doing this movie for a month before you guys. We just don't know how it ends. So,
right.
But it will end.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So I think that's interesting. I mean, we do have virtual meetups like last Wednesday of every week. So definitely like we can, you know, and we also, everyone's like really great about opening their emails and stuff. So we have very, you know, good communication flow with folks. I think that's a really great idea, and we'll so I sort of propose that maybe what we do is we decide to postpone postpone the EXP retreat. I think at this moment, it's a little maybe too early to fully cancel this like full blown retreat. But let's you know, on the day when we find out that things are chill and good, we'll do an announcement and we'll tell everybody like, hooray, we have champagne and kombucha waiting for you in Palm Springs or wherever we decide to meet up. See you in a couple of days, and we'll see who turns up. And then everyone who does show up, we can co-create the next retreat together, you know, with all the new conversations and stuff that we need to have. So maybe that's
a cool idea, you know, and maybe it's not, you know, it could even be just LA or San Francisco, you know, there's lots of, you know,
something
whatever's easy.
Yep.
Yeah.
It could also be something where we it could also be something where we do them locally, you know, even like now we're leading up to, and then everyone sort of transformer like Voltron assembles.
Yeah. Jeannie was
love it.
A bunch of stuff to us too in the comments, and I sent you the link, Jeannie. But now we're a couple minutes away from being complete. But Jeannie says she's agreeing and feels there's a real conversation about the industry and what that's going to look like moving forward.
Yeah.
I'll agree with that. Yeah, it's very scary times, and we don't know what any of us are going to look like at that point. So I think I kind of love, you know, that kind of punk rock idea of like, you know, we go both ways. Obviously, the big retreat was incredible. I mean, it was like a treat, and not only with the humans that were there, but also what we got to experience, which is, you know, a testament to Sarah, but also, you know, what everyone does. It's that experiential moment we all like to create. But I think we're also pretty scrappy in punk rock too. And if that means that we, you know, get together when we see that there's a place where we really start activating, then we all depend on at a time, or Palm Springs if that works. When we know it's go time and it's safe to do that.
Yep. Yeah, we'll just turn the P and EXP to punk rock. Love it. Okay, great. Well, I think that's a really great plan. And then, when we meet together again in our online meeting, for anyone that wants to join us at expxp.co/meetups, you can sign up, and we'll talk more, I think, about virtual events and turning live events into virtual events. How do you do that? Really go through and share some of our best practice tips, software stacks and all that kind of nerdy stuff, which hopefully, I think right now at this point, at least at what we're doing at Happily, is like spinning up to expand all of our skills into virtual event organizing is the best thing that we can do right now in this downtime. So stay safe, stay healthy. I hope you stay also like very positive and abundant. And if there's anything that we can do or I can do, to help you, of course, let me know.
Thanks, Sarah.
Thank you.
Thanks again. Thanks.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.